I'm in on-track audio with George Taylor again, doing the first time listening of the new prototype preamp at his place, although we have done some listening at my shop already 2 weeks ago. So, what have we learned on this listening session?
Well, we've learned that I need about a month with the preamplifier to run it through about a dozen pair of speakers.
Well, they don't need to know that.
Well, yeah, they do.
Okay.
Well, actually, they don't need to know it now, but they're going to find out later anyway. So, and interestingly enough, what we started to hear when we first listened to this a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Was it that long? Yeah. We started to wonder about matching components, and we're starting to think, well, actually, I guess we're really convinced, we're confirming, I think is a better word, that it may be more important to match a preamplifier with a pair of speakers than an amplifier with a pair of speakers.
Yeah, we were talking. We were actually talking in the shop that amplifier was important. We did a video on why amplifier is important too, but we are also discussing whether a preamp is going to make more difference, and we have doing more and more listening and experience that confirms our theory has merit and actually has a point that a preamp personality determine the system personality more than the power amp.
Yep, I would agree with that 100%.
And we were saying, correct me if I'm wrong now, because we have been talking before we start taking the video. The preamp has a personality.
That's the preamp's job. The preamp's job is to have a personality.
Has a personality
Yep.
for the system. The power amp job is to present the preamp personality without the interference of the speaker, because the speaker is the bottleneck.
Yep. So it exposes the actual personality of the preamplifier.
Yep.
Yep.
And by adjusting the preamp, therefore adjusting the personality of the system, is way more effective than trying to use the power amp to adjust the personality of the system with the compatibility with the speaker.
Yep.
Because it's between the power amp output and the speaker coil, it's always a compromise. There's a conversion. There's always a compromise. Anything that you're trying to adjust in that conversion, you have something that falls you back because it's converting electrical energy to mechanical energy. But in the preamp is electrical current energy from at the output to the electrical energy at the input of the power amp. There is minimal conversion. It's almost like no conversion. Essentially no conversion. So whatever the preamp does, the power amp will just accept it.
Yep. And expose it to the speakers.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's the preamp's job to have personality. So what we did today, I mean, we've only been at this a couple of hours. So if you're going to do your due diligence listening, you can't listen for 3 songs and go, yeah, okay, that's good. So we spent a lot of time. Now there's only one variation on the configuration, which is a lot of syllables. I'm sorry, I apologize that. A lot of ations in there. We're using the NFS 225 power amp back here. Now there's 2 output stages, so we did at the very end try a biamp scenario. And I mean, I can talk about what we heard and things we like, but our real goal was today to bring this in, use the preamp, adjust the voltage on the B+ in the preamplifier. Yep. Run it through the same power amplifier and use 3 or 4 different pairs of speakers. Now we got to 3 pairs of speakers today. We got to the Heretic AD614 speakers. We got to the Fink Kim speakers for a brief period, and probably should have spent a little bit longer. But the ones after hearing those first 2 pairs of speakers, the ones I really wanted to hear were the Fine Audio 702s. It's a slightly bigger speaker, and we actually ended up using that in a bi-wire configuration. But what we
let me correct that, biamp,
sorry. Yep. Because we were using them bi-wire without 2 amplifiers. Anyway, yes, biamp. And what we hope to find out, and I think what we're starting to find out, is that this preamp, which doesn't have a name yet, it looks like
we have to hire people on the marketing department.
Well, no, the marketing department had a very successful meeting.
Yeah, well, we disband them. We have to disband them before we do the video, and we have to put them together after the video, then to figure out the name.
For this?
Yeah.
No, we figured out the name.
We did?
We figured out the name. We figured out the names of the controls too, but we're not telling anybody yet.
Oh, like
because we may decide not to put out the preamplifier.
I thought I took my marketing cap off.
No.
So, all right.
No. We had a really successful 10-minute meeting there.
All right.
Yeah, it was done and dusted. What we were hoping was that we were going to be able to play this preamplifier with a few different types of speakers and get a good musical result. And because we can adjust the B plus on it, we found that's exactly what we can do. We found that the really high efficient Heretics liked the lowest voltage. We found that the fine audios liked the middle voltage. We didn't really experiment with the Fink Teen Kims. That's my job over the next few weeks. And I mean, the other job is to put it on a couple of different amplifiers in a couple of different systems and move it around and see. But it's starting to look like this particular preamp is a little bit of a chameleon in that it can blend into different situations and do really well. I shouldn't use the word blend because blend implies that it just sort of fits in, but it really does fit in, but not passively. It does provide a voice.
It fits in. It's like this kind of fitting.
Exactly. He's not doing that now. So
I didn't wear this jacket on purpose.
Yeah. Here's the interesting thing though. Lowering the voltage gives you the idea that music is going to sound a different way. And that's not the case. It's finding the suitable voltage. It doesn't necessarily mean because when we use the high efficiency, the high efficiency speakers, when we use the Heretics, we found that it was the lowest voltage that really brought out the fullness and the detail in the music. Didn't slow the music down, didn't take away detail. And it didn't take the really surprising thing is it didn't take away any clarity. I think that was the word we used. It was clear. It was clearer.
You want to use the timpani analogy?
Yeah.
All right, you can explain this. He's explained that better than I do.
Oh, you want me to go right into the whole technique of timp? Okay. Well,
you might as well do that. And if
right.
anybody want to find out, do the right weight. And if they want to find out, they can learn the right weight.
Okay. So we were listening. One of the test tracks we used was "Fanfare for the Common Man." I think it was. I can't remember which orchestra it was. If anybody wants to ask, I'll find out. But it's a really nice recording. The percussion stuff is very exposed and very clean and very clear. Now, when we used the highest voltage, let me backtrack a bit. The proper way to play a timpani or a bass drum, or really any percussion instrument, especially with a membrane head. So you're talking timpani, bass drum, toms. The whole point, you have to hit the drum and you have to use dynamics, but you're trying to pull the sound out, because if you try and drive the mallet or the stick or whatever you're using, if you try and drive that into the head of the drum that you're playing, what you do is you actually get kind of a bouncing sound where you muffle the attack and you make the attack unclear. So the whole point is you have to learn to pull the sound out of a timpani, out of a bass drum. You don't want to bang it in, because that's really not the whole point. Is to get it going and then get off, make the attack and get off so that the instrument can resonate. What we found with the Heretic speakers on the highest voltage is that was the effect we were getting. We were getting too tight a sound. It sounded almost like maybe a double hit on the membrane. It wasn't clean. It wasn't clear. It wasn't focused. There was a lot of girth to the sound, but it didn't really seem to be. It wasn't correct.
Even the drum body is kind of
Yeah, it was.
It almost sounds like there's something inside the drum board is resonating.
Well, it sounded boxy. For lack of a better term, it sounded boxy.
It sounded boxy. It sounded dirty. Yeah.
Right. So again, we lower the voltage, and for the second time around, we listened to that. We listened to some other things as well, and there was, I mean, when we lowered the voltage, there was more information. Vocals meant more. To me, like words were more understandable, and they had more meaning. Now that's not a term I can't. There's no measurement that will describe words having more meaning. Yet they had more meaning. It was the vocal stuff had more meaning to it, and it cleaned up. It cleaned up the impact when we played Fanfare for the Common Man. It cleaned up the impact of the attack on the timpani and the bass drum.
Clean up to the point that I can tell there's a single hit, not almost like a double hit.
Yep.
That's how I said it.
Yep.
But George said it in a more correct technical term.
Okay. When we lower the voltage again, it was a little bit more girth to the overall sound. A little bit more. It just seemed like there was more information there. Now, there's no technical explanation for why this is happening. None. Zero. If you try and correlate this to measurements, forget it.
Now, backtrack a little bit. When you say that more information, I don't think you mean more super clear details. It's just information of the music.
Just more musical information.
It's different than details than the word audiophile use details.
Yeah, but detail's the wrong word. Let's call it substance.
Okay.
I'm not trying to say that there is. I mean, don't get me wrong. We didn't lose any detail. We certainly didn't lose any musical information. There's just more there, and I'm not even sure exactly how to explain it. There's just more there, but it's not like lowering voltage or rolling off highs. It's not. I mean, just. There's more. There just seemed to be more tonality in everything. There seemed to be a better waveform, especially in vocals, especially in piano.
And there is no frequency. There is no frequency response change. No. I guarantee that.
Zero. So there just seemed to be more. All right. Now that was with the Heretic speakers.
Yeah.
All right. We only ran the Fink Team speakers on one setting because really we were trying to get to the fines before we wanted to make a video. But I mean,
before I want to have dinner.
Before you want to have dinner, yeah. I mean, the Fink teams sort of reacted like, if you've seen the video on damping factor where we talked about how it affected different speakers, or maybe you've seen one of my posts in the Angela-Gilbert fan club, the Fink teams just kind of seem to do their own thing. So I mean, to me, either they have such a strong voice of their own that they're not going to respond, or I haven't done enough work yet to make them respond. And I kind of think it's the second one there. I think if I work a little bit harder with those speakers, I can get them to, because I heard stuff with them. I heard things with them today with the tube preamplifier that I'm not quite getting when we used this amplifier with a solid state preamplifier. Right? So I think there's more work for me to do there, and I think I can draw a little bit more out of them. Then we got to the fines and hooked them up. Just hooked them up normally. Listened to them for a little bit. I've heard other fine speakers before through this amplifier, and I thought they weren't doing their best. There was just something not right. So sure enough, we turn this back to the middle voltage setting on the preamplifier, the middle voltage setting for the B+, and the Fine Audio 702s came out of their shell and sounded really, really very musical. They sounded like a complete speaker. There was no harshness, there was no boxiness, there was no weird. They weren't screaming through the tweeters, which they can if you don't have good amplification. They just sounded nice and full and natural. Interestingly enough, these are the hardest speakers I've got in my shop right now to make sound good, because they're too big for the room. But because the NFS 225 has a dampening factor control and I can tame them down a bit, they sound wonderful, even in an almost near field situation. But it was the middle voltage setting. So it leads me to believe that having the ability to change voltage is going to make this a preamplifier that will be successful with a lot of different types of speakers. I mean, I can't wait to get some ATCs on them. I can't wait to get some EPOS on them. We already know the Heretic work really, really well in this situation, and the Fines seem to be enjoying them too. So I want to get them on. You know, I'd pan around, but there's probably they're probably going on more than a dozen pairs of speakers in the next couple of weeks. So
yeah,
I guess we're going to report back on that.
Yeah, you're going to have it till at least middle of September. Yeah. I'm going to take it away for a couple
of
weeks. I'm going to take it away for a couple of weeks. I'll bring it back in October.
Okay.
Bring it back for October, and then you can keep it for a few months. And while I already have an idea to build another prototype, different kind of prototype.
Yeah. Then I can have a face-off between this and the NFS 325.
You can probably have a face-off of a new Pinky too.
Ooh.
Because I can't just build production unit. Yeah, production unit. I'm gonna make money on building production unit, but I cannot just build production unit because my brain will explode.
How much capacitance is on Pinky right now?
Only 2480 farad. Right now, it will run about 24 hours without AC power.
You'll probably be able to run the neighborhood off of it. Everybody can unplug their fridges and just plug into Pinky.
But 12 volt fridges probably.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that, but I'm looking forward to my next 2 weeks with this because I think this is you know what? You can't trust me anymore because every time we do something like this, I'm like, this is great, and this is great, but I can't be trusted. So don't. I
am totally biased.
Yeah.
I have lots of salt that you have to take. He's a little bit less sodium. Just a little bit less sodium. Little bit less.
Yeah, you still can't trust me.
No.
You know what you can trust though? Come and listen to it if you're in the area. It's here.
And we're not going to do a YouTube video on music because you can't hear it.
No. You won't hear the difference between the voltages. You will hear them here. I mean, I know. There's some of you they're going, oh, I can hear it. No, you can. No.
You might able to hear a little bit the difference. Yes, I agree. I'm not gonna argue with you that you can hear a little bit of difference, but those different won't able to tell you the whole story. Not even 5 or 10%. No. And change the topic a little bit, just in case there's anybody that's concerned about that. I'm putting things on top of the preamp. First of all, the B plus is actually I can touch it. I'm still alive. I may be actually immune to high voltage now.
You could be.
So I can take energy. I can take the energy from high and B plus and
you've become your own capacitor pack.
Yeah. Now this is all wood, so no big deal.
Yeah, I'm not touching it.
I am touching it.
You can go ahead. I'm not doing it. So we good?
We done.
I think we told everybody everything they need to know.
For now.
This doesn't have a name yet. But we know what we're going to call the control set, so that's something.
Yeah, you can. I'm go dinner.
Yeah.
Dinner time?
Dinner time.
Okay, shut it off. Bye.
Bye-bye.